Hey guys, it's Lane with Tim's Nation. I'm coming to you today to talk a little bit about my favorite Space Marines, the Death Watch. We got a rules preview today, and I wanted to go quickly through some of the things we learned. It's not a huge bunch of information. We still need a lot more information to know exactly how we're going to be building kill teams and that sort of thing, but we got a nice taste of what the Death Watch are going to be doing. So first off, any of these Space Marine chapters in this preview will still get Oath of Moment, which is super powerful. It's a Space Marine ability, army-wide ability that lets you pick an enemy unit and reroll all hits and all wounds for that unit for the entire turn, and you get to do that every single turn. It's amazing. Now, Space Marines in general have combat doctrines. Once per game, they can choose one, or I'm sorry, they can choose one of these doctrines. They can only choose each one once per game. So you've got 3 doctrines. Each turn you can choose one of them, but you can only use them once per game. Devastator Doctrine lets Marines advance and shoot. Tactical Doctrine lets them fall back and then either shoot and charge. And then the Assault Doctrine lets them advance and charge. Now, our Death Watch will lose these combat doctrines. They won't get the basic Space Marine combat doctrines, but instead they get mission tactics. So the Death Watch mission tactics, there's 3 of them, and it's kind of the same thing where you pick one in your command phase and it'll be active for the entire turn. Yeah, it goes through the battle round from your command phase until your next command phase. I was just double checking that. So you've got 3 of these. You pick one in your command phase. It's active for the entire battle round, and then it's done. You can't use it again in the game. The first one is Führer Tactics. While this mission tactic is active, weapons equipped by the Space Marine units from your army have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. So army-wide, on all infantry, vehicles, everything, each 6 to hit counts as an extra hit. Sounds pretty good to me. Next one is Malleus Tactics. While this mission tactic is active, weapons equipped by your Space Marine units from this army have the Lethal Hits ability. So everybody will be auto-wounding on 6s to hit. Guys, they took the auto-wounding away from my Votann, and they gave it to my Death Watch. I would not have guessed that a week ago. So, the Malleus Tactics, when it's active, any Space Marine unit in your whole army, again, infantry, vehicles, characters, whatever it may, all 6s to hit, automatically wound. Super strong, obviously. And the third one is Praegadus Tactics. While this mission tactic is active, each time an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army makes an attack, if a critical hit is scored, that attack has precision ability. At first, I didn't think this sounded so great, but after thinking about it a little bit, you realize if someone puts a heavy-hitting, hard-to-kill, big brick squad in front of you and then has a character attached to it that's buffing that unit, if you just pour a bunch of fire into that, and all these tactics apply to both shooting and combat, which makes them pretty impressive as far as the amount of damage you can get out of them. So if someone puts a hard-to-damage unit in front of you, you can shoot at it with heavy weapons. You put some las cannons and multi-meltas into it, and if you get a 6 to hit, well, you can just move that damage right to the character and hopefully snipe that character out of the unit. Same thing, and again, it applies in combat as well. Thunderhammer hits going into a squad. Well, if you roll a 6 to hit with that Thunderhammer, you can move that hit right over to the character and hopefully pick them up with a couple of Thunderhammer swings. Yeah, the interesting thing about these is when you choose them, you only get to use them once per game. So you definitely want to make sure you're taking full advantage of the fact that they apply to both hits and fighting. Make sure you double up on that. You're going to want to choose something. Sometimes it'll be tempting to just use it when you're shooting, when you've got some good shots lined up, but you probably want to make sure that you're taking full advantage of both the shooting and the fighting. Especially if you're going into, say you're using Malleus and you're going into a hard-to-wound army like Imperial Knights or Chaos Knights, when a lot of your targets are going to be T8. Man, when those infantry are just punch them with their bare hands or wounding on 6s to hit, it's going to make a huge difference. Combined with anti-infantry fire, suddenly, something that's AP1 hitting, auto-wounding on 6s is going to start sneaking some damage through on those hard-to-wound targets. But you're going to want to make sure you take full advantage of it and pop that off on the right turn. It's kind of similar to the current Death Watch Relic, Tome of Ectoclades. For once per battle round, you get to reroll all wounds against a chosen data sheet. You really want to make sure you take advantage of that by choosing the right time to do it. But I'm excited about using these. And in general, I think these are better than the Space Marine combat doctrines. The Space Marine combat doctrines certainly have value. They can be powerful, but there will be games when you don't need to advance and charge. There may be games when you don't need to advance and shoot, or you don't need to fall back and shoot or charge. But I feel like every single game you'll be able to take advantage of these of the Deathwatch mission tactics. So I'm excited to see those. And then they give us a little sample data sheet here. Now, the one thing this preview doesn't do that I really wanted it to do is tell us how kill teams work and how kill teams are built. We're going to have to wait until we get our actual index rules for that. But they do give us the Deathwatch veterans data sheet. Now, we know that when we build kill teams, the Deathwatch veterans are firstborn Marines. So we know when we typically build kill teams, they're a mix of Deathwatch veterans, Terminators, Bikers, Jump Pack, Assault Marines. You take a mix of units and put them into a single kill team, and those different units confer different benefits onto that kill team. All we have right here are the Deathwatch veterans, but it's interesting. We learn a few things here. Basic Space Marine profile and the stats. When it comes to weapons, we do have the frag cannon again. Every edition, this frag cannon changes wildly. Once again, it changes now. The frag cannon only has an 18-inch range, but it is blast, heavy, and rapid fire D3. So with an 18-inch range, when you get into 9 inches, you're looking at 2 D3 shots. It is blast, so if you're within 9 inches of a 10-man unit, you're going to get, each one of these is going to get 2 D3, but plus 2 shots. That's pretty impressive, 3 to 8 shots. Then, and as it is right now, you can take 4 of these in a unit. I assume we will have similar abilities to equip them. So putting 4 of these in a unit means you'll just be putting out a ton of shots. And then again, it's strength 7, AP 1, 2 damage. So it definitely has a high strength, especially when you're going into infantry and elite infantry and T3 models. It's going to chew right through those super quick. Then we also have the Infernus Heavy Bolter, 2 profiles. As it is, it looks like here you're only going to be able to choose one or the other, either the Heavy Bolter or Heavy Flamer. Both of these have value in games, and it'll be nice to have that weapon on the same model. You can have somebody holding in the back, holding an objective in your deployment zone and contributing to the fight by firing those 36-inch range heavy bolters. But if someone gets close to them and tries to charge them, you can overwatch with those heavy flamers and make a difference. Again, right now, you can put 4 of these into a unit, so being able to have a unit of 5 to 10 Marines that have 4 of this heavy weapon is super powerful. We also have the Long Vigil ranged weapon. This is just looks like a replacement for all the combi weapons. Doesn't matter if it's a combi bolter, combi melta, combi plasma. It'll just be a Long Vigil ranged weapon. 24-inch range, rapid fire 1. It is anti-infantry 4+, and devastating wounds. No AP, but with that anti-infantry 4+ and the devastating wounds, it's still going to get some work through. And then the other interesting thing of note is the Deathwatch Thunderhammer. Now, the regular Space Marine Thunderhammer is only strength 8 and 2 damage, but the Deathwatch Thunderhammer is strength 10, AP 2, flat 3 damage. Again, if you're swinging into a unit that's got a character in it, and you're getting off those the Purgatus Doctrine or Purgatus Mission tactic, it's going to be great if you can put a few 3 damage hits onto a character. As far as special rules, we have Death to the Alien. Basically, reroll 1s to hit all day long. It doesn't matter whether they're shooting or fighting or who they're going into. And if they're going into something that's not Imperium or Chaos, so Xenos, if they're swinging into Xenos, shooting into Xenos, they get to reroll all hits all day long. That just sounds super powerful. These guys are going to be great at killing lots of the Horde Xenos armies. They're going to be getting lots of hits with all those rerolls. It'll be interesting to see if the other types of Marines get this. If the Primaris Marines, Gravis Marines, Terminator Marines, do they get the Death to the Alien rule as well? I really want to know, so we'll have to see if GW gives us that benefit once we get our index rules. We also have the Astartes Shield, not a Storm Shield. It's the Astartes Shield. It gives the unit a 4-up invuln, so it gives them a little bit of durability if you equip the guys with it. Interesting to see, because in the Dark Angels preview, the Storm Shield gave an extra wound, no additional benefit to the armor save or invuln save. So, all right, that's it for now, guys. I'll be back when we get more information, get our index, and get our full rules. But until then, have a good one. All right, bye.